Hi, I'm Dr. Vonda Wright, and this is Hot for Your Health. Join us for conversations on the bleeding edge of science, health, and culture as we bring you tech innovators, thought leaders, and the movers and shakers who are transforming science fiction into your new health reality. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Vonda Wright. Thank you so much for being back with us on Hot for Your Health, where we talk to fascinating people about the best in innovation and the best in health. And tonight is no exception. Listen, if you want to know a secret, I've been stalking this woman on Instagram for well over a year.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and I think talking to you, Denise Kirtley, who we're going to hear your whole story. Online, you are on Instagram. You go by 50 Fitness Journey, and certainly in the next 2 minutes, everybody's going to be flipping over and looking at your before and after, and before and middle and after this cut. But today is a remarkable day for you because you've launched a company surrounding what you've done. So I think it's a great time to inspire people to transform the way you have. But I want to go way back to the pictures you post of 49. I mean, my audience is 35 to 65. Most of us have passed 49, and it really becomes a critical time, right? So when you started, because you identified that as day zero or time zero equals zero, go back, take us back there. And it was more than just putting on a bikini and standing in front of the mirror. Tell us where you were and what the pivotal moment was when you decided I am worth a daily investment, or whatever it was. That's the
right.
Yeah.
Happy to. And by the way, I was almost 50, and so I think that's an important distinction. I was just 2 months shy of my 50th birthday. And so you can make incredible changes in your 50s, so I like to mention that because I really was almost 50, but I was like a lot of women. I had sort of lost myself, as I approached middle age and perimenopause. I actually don't have children. I think a lot of women lose themselves. They focus on their children and they put everything else aside, understandably. I did that for my career. And, my body just started changing. I was in perimenopause. The things I was working that were working for me previously was no longer working. Right. And I gained about 40 pounds in 4 years. And then in the beginning of COVID, I gained another 15 because this was 2020, August of 2020. And I felt awful. I was pre-diabetic. My energy had tanked. I have arthritis in both knees. I discovered you would know more about this, right, than I do. But, my doctor said, you have got to lose weight. I had trouble going upstairs. I was in pain. And he said, you have to get weight off just to take the pressure off your joints. And even those things didn't really make me change. Like I wasn't uncomfortable enough.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, one day I realized I had to take off my wedding rings because my fingers had grown so fat, right? They were just like bulging, like I couldn't wear them anymore. And I had an aha moment. I don't think you have to have an aha moment to make a transformation, but that was mine. And for me, it was like, this is enough. Like, this has got to stop. And that was it for me. Like, I just hit that wall. I was like, done. And I think for me and for a lot of women, transformation is born out of pain. I was in mental pain at that point. Like, I had just had enough. You have to get, I think, uncomfortable enough to want to make this change. And I literally that week, decided that was it. And I changed my life and I never went back. So what I did was I found a company and I wanted to learn about macros. So they gave me macros. I just started learning. Very hard at first, gets a lot easier quickly. And I started weightlifting, which I had never done really before. Maybe a little bit in my 20s, I dabbled, but not seriously. I was never an athlete. I think that's an important distinction. This is not something like, I have done it before and it was just me getting back into it. This is all brand new, almost 50 years old. And literally my coach was like, do this. And I just did it. And I was consistent. And I really think that is the key. It's consistency. And within 8 months, I had lost 50 pounds. Mm-hmm. And within the first year, I looked like a different person. Like you could see the muscles, right? I had been lifting weights for a year, 5 days a week. And really, I had some muscle tone. And truly, I think the one thing I want to get across is you can really change your life in as little as a year. I mean, it sounds long, but when you change your whole life, like that's amazing.
Well, and if people are by now, the 2 minutes you've been speaking, they have all gone to Instagram to see what you're talking about. And you truly did change the outside of you remarkably.
Yes.
And I want to talk a little bit about the inside of you, but we do that because I know that's really the pivot for you was the inside. But I want to take women with you. Mm-hmm. I'm closing my eyes right now if you're watching the video because I'm a visual person. I'm going back with you. I can picture you at 2 months, 49 and 10 months. And you're like, the rings don't fit. Yeah. And then you find your way to the gym. You join a group, but still, you've never done it before. You're standing here in a gym, probably filled with mirrors and stuff. And you're like, what the heck? How do I even lift this thing? Or what do I do first? Or how did you, other than you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down and grab a piece of iron right now. How was it? What was that feeling that you overcame? Mm-hmm. Maybe it was excitement. What was it that first day?
Well, so I started in the middle of COVID when gyms were actually closed. So my first workouts were in my guest bedroom with some dumbbells and some resistance bands. Mm-hmm. And the coach that assigned these to me said they should take 45 minutes. They took me 2 hours because I was exhausted and I had a rest in between reps and it was uncomfortable. I mean, it sucked. Like, the beginning, it sucks, right? Like, because it's new and you don't feel good. And my perimenopause had zapped my energy. Like, I really was not up for this, but I wanted it so bad that I was like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And so it's very hard in the beginning because I was used to being sedentary. But what I found was the more, every day it got a tiny bit easier. Mm-hmm. You start to actually build confidence, pretty quickly. Right. And so with my home workouts, I did that from August to March, lost all my weight at home, actually. And being in California, our gyms didn't open, till 2021. Yeah. We were, locked down for a while. And so then by the time I was able to go into a gym, it did feel really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Still, at that point, I had lost weight. But it was all foreign to me, right? But I am the type of person where if I hire you and I believe that you can produce a result, you tell me to do something, I just get out of my comfort zone to do it. Like I just did it. So I was definitely out of my comfort zone, but I wanted this more than I cared what the people thought of me in the gym. You know what I mean?
I do know because when people come to me, whether it's a conventional orthopedic problem or they come to me about their longevity and I'm listening and they identify for me what they want. Mm-hmm. And then I say, well, to get what we want, here are the steps we need to take. And I've been writing for the public long enough that I know I need to get really granular. I don't just say, here's your ideas. I say, here are the 5 things. And then they respond to me. And this is not unusual. So if you're listening and you've ever done this to me, it's okay that you say, yes, but.
Yeah.
I can see them glaze over, to which now my response is, you just have to decide what you want more. Do you want the bottle of wine every night that you've just told me you drink? Or do you want to be uninflamed or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So you wanted to wear your friggin' wedding rings again and feel yourself, right?
Yes. I really wanted my life back and I really wanted to grow old and feel excited about my future and feel vital because I felt like I was aging very quickly. Yeah. And that wasn't acceptable to me, And what I've talked about this before, and I think this was really key for me because, when you're going through something like this, it's very easy to go back into your old habits. It's very easy to. We all have bad days. I was an emotional eater. I was actually a binge eater. It was hard for me to overcome those things. There were days I wanted to go in that pantry, right? And get the chocolate. Yeah, like I used to, right? Because that was a habit and that was hard to break. But what I did was, and I've talked about this to my audience on Instagram. I had a very clear vision of what my life was going to be like if I reached my goals. And this is something I actually learned from Tony Robbins. I've gone to a lot of Tony Robbins seminars in my life. I was in sales. And so this is something I did. And he talks about really getting clear on stepping into your goal and what does that look like? What is your energy like? What happens when you put your feet on the ground in the morning when you wake up? What are your relationships like? How do you show up in the world? What does that look like? Like really detailed. And I spent a lot of time thinking about that and writing about that and focusing on that. And so those days when I really wanted to get off track, I went back to that and I really thought about that. The other thing that kept me on track was I had made progress and I didn't want to screw that up, right? So I would get out my photos. So I would be on the couch wanting to eat something. You know, my macros were done for the day. I'd already had dinner there. I wasn't hungry, but I wanted to eat. I would look at my progress photos and I would think, you know what, you came too far to kind of go back now. Like you've worked too hard. And those two things really did help keep me on track. So not an easy path, but those are the things that were my anchors during this time.
And so we've been talking about the physical changes that you made, which are remarkable and transformational. And that, you know, I have not transformed as much as you have, but I too was someone, I've always been an athlete. And and when I, throughout my younger years, would gain 5 pounds, I'd just, you know, be mindful and run a little bit more.
Right.
Then the whole world changed when hormones became menopausal, right? And so, but I'm hesitating because I've always thought that that I was really in control of my environment because I know so much about health, and I've written 5 books on fitness after 40. And I guess, Denise, I never thought it was going to happen to me. What a stupidity that was. But then it happened to me. Yeah. And all the things you're talking to me about really ring true, because for you, it was your wedding rings. For me, it was, I've been the same size since I was in high school. Mm-hmm. I have, you know what, I'm not a fashion girl. I don't buy a lot of clothes, but I buy pieces that I love. And I was going to have to get the next 2 sizes up. And for me, that was like, if I am going to do that, which I know the research says increases my chance of breast cancer 5 times, or my mental health, blah, 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 enough is enough. So for me, and I think this is what you've described, it results in a physical change because of the actions we take. Yes. Change was really in the 5.5 inches between your ears.
Yes. 100%.
So talk to me about that and how your brain changed.
Yeah, you know, and it was funny because when I started, it really was the physical that I was looking to change. But the most profound changes have been the mental changes, because what it requires us to do if you're going to transform is to really keep your promises to yourself. Mm-hmm. So you start to really honor yourself in a way. You know, I really honored myself and taken care of myself in a way I never have before. I look at myself as someone who's responsible for taking care of this body now. You know, I never had that attitude before. Right. A steward, you know, of my body. Mm-hmm. And you really start to build confidence. My confidence skyrocketed because I will tell you, when I got heavy and I felt exhausted, I felt defeated. And like I said, I had lost myself. I lost my confidence. So showing up for myself every day, working hard, keeping my promises to myself, my confidence really skyrocketed. And more than that, you know, people ask me, you know, do you feel like a different person now? No, I feel fully like myself. Maybe for the first time. You know, I trust myself. I've worked hard. I believe in myself now. And what it's really done is given me the ability to kind of, you know, chase my dreams and do things, you know, take risks and do things I've never thought to do before. I mean, it really has been an incredible mental journey for me. that mindset work that you have to do in order to make these changes happen affect every area of your life. I've shaken up my life incredibly in the last 3 years, and it's not something I ever set out to do. It wasn't a goal. It wasn't on my radar. But when you start to make these changes and you feel good about yourself, you feel good in your body, you raise your standards. And when you raise your standards, you start to look at other areas of your life and think, maybe this isn't good enough. I just made a major career change because of all of this. It's really, they call it transformation for a reason. It's not just about the physical. It's transformative really in every area of your life. At least it has been for me and many people that I know as well.
I love how you were describing that you still feel like yourself, but you're back to yourself, right?
Yes.
Because I can see in your 49 pictures a different, not just a different face in terms of a different physical face, but a different countenance.
Yes.
Like the person looking out is different.
Yes. People say that to me a lot. Yeah.
They? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And now that I feel the same way. I'm about to do a Spartan race again.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I know the Spartan people, they're wonderful people. And the first time they said, Vonda, you just got to do a Spartan. I said, that's insane. I'm 56 years old. I don't want to break something. But I went and did it. I love a good challenge. And I think anytime we put ourselves through a big challenge like you have, or something silly like, let's just go run a race in the mud, although mine's in a stadium, it changes us from the inside out. So getting back to your countenance is different.
Yeah.
I feel the same way now, meaning that I am so confident that I can figure almost everything out.
Yeah.
But 30 pounds ago, when I was in my perimenopausal menopause state, I was beginning to doubt, because if I couldn't control this,
right,
how could I be as bold as I ever had been? Which I had to be, because I'm a female orthopedic surgeon. There's only 6% of us, right? But I had lost that because I couldn't control this. And that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
You are back in control and you have hope and
exactly. Yeah. And then when you make these incredible changes and you look back and you think, well, I did this now. Well, what else can I do? Like you've climbed this mountain, and then you look at the mountain across and it's even higher, and you're like, maybe I can climb that one. And so it's just sort of builds, and you realize you are capable of so much more than you ever thought you were.
Right.
And that's exciting. And that's where life gets exciting, right? That's kind of where I'm at. It's like, well, what else can I do now? Like, I feel like, let's see, because life is short. Like, let's do all the things. That's really my attitude.
I love that so much. Well, we've mentioned it a couple times. And I don't know much about your corporate life. You started a company 22 years ago and ran it. And now you've completely pivoted.
Completely.
Focus on helping other people transform. So let's just talk about that.
Sure.
It's Rebellion Body.
Yes.
It's the one. Everybody now go on, get off your Instagram, go look at her website.
Oh, thank you.
But what is that about? And what is the course? Like, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to do?
Yes. So, I just left my corporate world. I was a headhunter. I was an executive recruiter for the finance and accounting world for 26 years. I had my own company for 22. And when I started this, never did I imagine that I would change my whole career and give up my company. I really gave up my company that I had built. Because when I started, I started sharing my story. More people started following me. I'd get all these DMs from women who were like, I look just like you, and I relate to your story and all the things you're saying. That was me. And I want you to help me. Like, what can I do? And so I'd read these stories, and sometimes I would get tears. Like, I just really felt like their pain, because I'd been there and never thought I would coach. And I really over time realized that this is my life's purpose. This is what I've been led to do. So I started this company, Rebellion Body, and I named it because we're really rebelling against this narrative, right? In midlife, we're told this weight gain is inevitable. You're not going to be in shape. Life's kind of over. Like, let's just go out to the pasture and just, be comfortable in this inevitable decline. Well, that's not at all how it has to be. In fact, it shouldn't be that way. And so I feel like we're the rebels, right? We're rebelling against this. So rebellion body. And I am going to be coaching women through transformation, just like I had been coached. So I'm launched, actually today was my launch day with one-on-one coaching. And I have a few coaches working with me. And what we are doing is we're giving custom macros. We're going to teach women all about their macros. I really do believe macros is transformative. It was for me. Prioritize protein. You have to eat enough protein. And weightlifting, resistance training is so critical as we age. So it's a combination of macros, weight training, and mindset. And like I said, we're doing one-on-one coaching currently, but at the end of the year, I'll have group coaching. And then next year, I'm going to have an app too, because I want it to be approachable for all women at different price points. People like different levels of, personal interaction. And so I wanted to have something for everybody. But really I feel I am really led to do this. And this is finally at 53, I found my life's purpose in helping other women live their best lives. That's my goal.
I love that. And it just, it goes to show that there is no age or skill level when you can't transform, change your life, jump into something new, right?
Yes.
Because when you think about it, the life expectancy in this country for women now is about 82. So if we take that, then there's a lot of time. But I intend to live to at least 97. I had my child at 40, so I want to be around to bug her until she's about so that means 97. But
why not 100? Let's go for 100.
Yeah, why not?
You're get a nice round number.
It's icing, right? It's icing. But given those numbers, 43. 53.
Well, exactly. Like we got a lot of living. We've got decades left, right? We don't want to just be sitting in our armchairs or rockers on the porch, right? And just watching life go by. I want to be an active participant in my life. I still want to, chase my dreams and have accomplishments and travel and just like be really excited about my future. And I think we have to feel good in our bodies to do that. We have to feel healthy and vibrant and mobile, and all of those things are critical. And like I said, I think weightlifting, for healthy bones, I'm sure you talk about this all the time, these are critical things.
Well, let's go down the road of weightlifting a little bit.
Yeah.
So I like to lift really heavy. I see you doing it too. For my legs, there's a push-pull, a deadlift, deep back squats. For my arms, there's a push-pull, bench press, pull-ups, and then all the accessories. So what is the formula you like to use? I have mine. What is this? If you were saying to someone, this is what you want to get to.
Well, I think I train 5 days a week and I do 3 lower body and 2 upper body days, but I'm also, which I haven't mentioned, I'm a competitive bodybuilder.
Yes.
Who knew in my 50s, that I'd become like, this was not on my radar. This is like, even when I say it, sometimes I'm like, am I really? I am. So I had one competition and I have another one next year. So my goals are different. But I really think like in my program, I want to meet people where they're at, right? 5 days a week is not feasible for everybody. It's just not. So I think anywhere, 3 days at least, I think is a great number. With a combination of, full body 3 days. So we're hitting all the different body parts, but even 2 days, if you can't do, 3, we got to get in there, and I think what people will find is if it seems intimidating and it seems like a big time commitment, maybe start with 2. And I guarantee you're going to like start feeling good and you're going to want to increase that. So, but I think for people who are not going to be 3 to 4 days is ideal.
Then how do you work in the mobility portion? Do you walk? Do you zone 2, which is a low heart rate based training with some sprint intervals? How do you get that side of it in?
Mm-hmm. So for me personally, I'm ectomorph. So I tend to lose weight oddly because it seemed like it was impossible, like in my early 50s, right? When I was just, starting this. I don't do a lot of extra cardio. I walk 10,000 steps a day. And I don't,
That's a long way.
Yeah, but it's funny. I walk my dogs once a day. People seem like to think this is a lot, but really it adds up. If you're tracking it, just me walking around my house, going to the store, going to the gym, one walk, that's it. I'm not on a treadmill doing this. It's pretty feasible. But I think when people are first starting out, we have two levers for weight loss, right? We can be in a caloric deficit or we can increase our activity. So I think when you're starting out, adding some cardio is very important. And I personally did about 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week when I was in a weight loss phase. It's good, obviously, for your heart. You want to keep this stuff going. But I think for me, I like to prioritize weightlifting. I'm focused on that. So that's my main focus. But I think a couple days of cardio, plus a couple days of weightlifting, getting your steps in, that's really a magical combination for, most women.
I agree. And you know what? Even though it does take preparation and it is programmatic, I want people to understand it's not that hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be crazy. 90-step programs.
Exactly.
Doesn't. It's doable, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. But you have to plan for it. And I tell because I have had some clients, leading up to my company launch. And I tell them, you got to put it in your calendar, just like you would a business meeting. But this meeting is as important, if not more important than your other meetings, because what I find is we tend to cancel the meetings that are about us, right? When really the meetings with ourselves are the most important. So you got to plan for these things. And if you can fit it into your day, and I guarantee you can, there's some gap where you can do this, whether you watch a little less TV, you're scrolling a little less on Instagram, you can make this work. But it's got to be planned for, and then you got to just keep those promises to yourself.
And I want to say amen to that, because until I put my weightlifting sessions physically on my calendar,
right?
Monday, Wednesday, I am there at 5 p.m. Fridays, I am there at 1 p.m. Whatever my staff is doing. I mean, I sometimes feel a little guilty because I work in a building that is a performance building. So my doctor's office is in a performance building. My staff is still working. I am putting on my workout clothes and walking into the gym portion because I have made that appointment.
Right.
And
exactly.
Yeah. You just have to, I love that. No canceling on yourself.
No.
But you kind of just said.
Yeah. And we tend to do, we're the ones that we tend to cancel on the most, which it just shouldn't be that way.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about your new venture, Rebellion Body. I think help so many people. And I love that you're democratizing it from one-on-one to everybody next year when you get your app out.
Yes.
I think people cannot do what they can't envision. And so I think it's so critical that you've put your before and afters up.
Yes.
And every year before and afters as you're what cutting, I don't know. The cutting phase, this phase.
Yes.
I think it's so critical because people can't do what they can't see.
No, that's 100% true. And, I started I saw Train with Joan. I'm sure you probably follow Joan McDonald.
I do. She's one of the most women I saw.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly, I saw Joan, and I remember this so clearly, early 2020. And I thought, she's 70 and she's doing this. I have no excuse. There's no excuse. I can do this. Yeah. And so I feel now we need more women like us, right? Just showing because believe me, when I first started showing those bikini, those pictures of me in my bikini when I was overweight and I felt absolutely miserable, that was not fun, right? But I was like, I was like,
that was courageous, girlfriend.
Right? These are not photos I would ever imagine I'd be sharing. I barely wanted to look at them myself, much as share them with whoever. But I think it's important for us to share our stories just exactly for what you said. The more that you see that there's not just me, there's a lot of women in our 50s, 60s, 70s making these changes to our healths and our lives and our physiques. It is absolutely feasible for everybody. Fitness is available to all of us at any age. I always say our bodies don't become broken when we hit, menopause. They require different things, and they require focus, and they require us to be very intentional about how we treat them and how we train them, but they are not broken. It takes work, but you can truly have any level of fitness you desire if you're willing to work hard enough for it. And there's so many of us you just look at our photos and you could see it's true, right?
It's
You know,
true.
it's not magic. We're just working hard and we're consistent, and it's feasible for anybody.
Well, I love that summary. And I have to tell you, Denise, thank you for being patient with me and getting on to this. You are gonna continue to help so many women. And you know, it's not only about helping others, and I'm sure you feel this way, it feeds my soul, right?
Yes. Yes.
It does. So thank you, everybody listening, for letting us be fed at the same time. But
100%.
I look forward to meeting you in the future. I'm
Oh,
sure
I'd love to. I saw you're having a retreat. I was like, maybe I should go.
Oh, you should come and hang out with Susan Geedy and I.
Yes.
Here doing her comedy routine. So please.
I'd love that.
But we'll be in contact. Thank you so much for being on Hot for Your Health. And congratulations on launching Rebellion Body. And I will put it everywhere. And once again, thanks for being so transformational and inspirational.
Thank you, Vonda. And likewise, I mean, you are doing so much wonderful work for women in menopause. I feel like we don't have enough resources to go to, and you are providing such wonderful information. So thank you. I'm a fan of yours as well.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Vonda.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm Dr. Vonda Wright. See you next week.